This is my 2004 AP2 turboed S2000. Real quick rundown on the setup. As you can see, we have a giant 3484 PSR Gen III turbo with a ball bearing wheel and a T51 R mod. The turbo manifold that the turbo is attached to is actually a Trackforged. Great manifold, haven't had any problems with it in the past 2 years. I'm running a Tial 38mm wastegate, got ID 1050X injectors, a Walbro 255 fuel pump, PSR 50mm blow-off valve, and a Treadstone 600 horsepower intercooler. Fun fact, the turbo kit actually came off of a wrecked S2000 CR that was pushing about 600 horsepower. The previous owner, I guess, wrapped his car around a pole. Lucky for us, because we got his kit. So we did buy everything secondhand, everything except probably the turbo. That's probably it. Turbo and the blow-up valve are the only things we didn't buy secondhand. But the ECU management that we are currently running on it is it's very old AEM EMS version 2, and it's a standalone ECU. Probably, like, there's only a handful of options, and I've heard that this one was a good one. So just a quick walk around. My car is definitely not the cleanest example by any means. I mean, we've got the mismatched wheels going on here. We needed some stickier tires on the rear, which we'll go over here in a little bit. Got the J's Racing 70 RS dual exhaust on the back. This thing sounds incredibly loud. I freaking love it. We've got some holes in our trunk from some previous bad decisions. That's really it. One more thing about this car, it does have a built motor, built by Inline Pro. Essentially, top to bottom is built other than the cams and the crank. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more when we hop in the car and go for a drive. Car dynoed at about 525 horsepower on the new tune at about 16.5 pounds boost. Now, for the purposes of the street, we have this thing pretty much turned way down. We'll see a peak boost of about 14 pounds. So we're probably sitting anywhere around the 400 to 450 horsepower range just for the application that we have it set at. We don't really need the thing on kill. Let's go ahead and hop in this thing and go for a drive. Sounds so freaking good. Listen to that purr. Alright, so like I said, I've owned this car 6 years now. 2 of which have been with this with a turbo on them. And I just kind of wanted to talk about the challenges we've had to overcome with this build, because there have been a few. Traction being one of them. One of the main concerns with this build is heat under the engine bay. This car, this exhaust manifold, this turbo, everything gets super hot down there. So you have to be careful, and you have to cover any wires that might be nearby. I'll try to get some close-ups of the things that I've already melted in the process, being as naive as I was and not covering anything. Second main challenge that I've had to overcome was dealing with a bad tuner. So about a year and a half ago now, I finished the build up, but with a much smaller turbo, and I took it to one of the local guys that had great reviews all around. Well, about 3 months later, the car over boosted to about 21.5 pounds of boost, and cylinder number 2 just, I guess, didn't like that. And said, peace out. I mean, assessing the damage, you can see this for any normal engine is totally rebuildable. You know, you take it to a machine shop, have them bore out the cylinders, and you're good to go. But unfortunately, with the S2000s, it doesn't work that way. The S2000s have a special coating on the inside, on the cylinder walls. That's called FRM, friction reducing material coating. And I'm not a professional with this stuff, but from what I can understand, most machine shops around don't have the equipment to bore out cylinders with that special coating in them. So you've got 2 options. Option A, K-swap. That's what pretty much anybody does. Option B, you have the engine re-sleeved by one of the very few professionals in America that know how to do it right. And I went with option B. So the block that we're using today, the bottom end is an Inline Pro Signature Series. It's good for about 800 horsepower. But if you know these cars, then you know that they come with their immediate challenges or their immediate drawbacks when it comes time to push power. So the engine in stock form is theoretically good for 700 horsepower reportedly. You know, people push these stock engines pretty far. But unfortunately, I wasn't so lucky. The rest of the S2000, other than the engine, is pretty much a weak link. I mean, the differentials are known for braking in stock form, as well as the transmissions. So when you add double the power, double the horsepower, adding a ton more torque also, well, your drivetrain's not going to like that. Now, this car has been running strong with the turbo on it pretty reliably. 2 years long, beating on the thing pretty much every single time I'm in the car, and thankfully no real major problems yet. But it just stays with you in the back of your mind, knowing that one of these drives eventually you're gonna lose a transmission or differential. It's just not if but when. Launching the car is pretty much already off the table. You don't want to do that with the stock differentials unless you have a very garbage rear tire where you won't even be getting traction. And like I said, that right there, traction is also a pretty big challenge. First and second gear, useless. This turbo, this Gen 3 Pulsar turbo, doesn't really spool to like almost 6,000 RPM in first gear. Now there are some minor differences between the AP1 and AP2 engines. The AP1 has an F20C, that's the 9K RPM redline. The F22 has the slightly lower 8200 RPM redline, but when it comes for boost specific applications, the AP1 S2000 does have a few shortcomings. Well, 2 shortcomings that I know of, and that's would never, if it weren't for the gauges, you would never know this car was turbo. Now obviously if you floor it, you'll figure it out really quick. If you've got the money and you want something absolutely unlike anything else, turbo in your S2000, worth every penny. I probably will never sell this car unless it was to get some other car, maybe an NSX, and I would end up turboing that thing also. So I figured to close this video out, I would go ahead and give you guys a cost breakdown of how much it actually costs to reliably build an S2000. And quick disclaimer, guys, it's not cheap. So let's get on with this. Hopefully by the end of this, you'll have made up your mind on if this is an endeavor you'd want to take. But anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the big stuff, the engine. So the engine short block that was built by Inline Pro costs about $6,000 for me to do. Now it's about $4,500, $4,600 on their website, but that doesn't include shipping if you're not wherever they're located. I think they're located in Virginia now, not sure. So you gotta include shipping and taxes. And there's a few other things, a few other services that they offer in there that I opted for, which being the oil jet bolts, and there was one more thing I can't remember. So I just kind of estimated that it came out after shipping and everything to about $6,000. That's only the short block, guys. I paid another $1,300, around $1,300 for the Supertech valvetrain, dual springs and retainers, Inconel exhaust valves. So that was another $1,300, not including the machining work that went into the head. I paid another $300 for a guy locally to swap out the valve guides and do a quick cut and everything for the head. All right, then. So now moving on, not engine-related parts, but turbo stuff. So the turbo itself, the PSR, the Gen 3. That was about $1,000 with the T51R mod, which, by the way, if you're wondering, I personally don't think it's worth getting the T51R mod. It just doesn't sound as good as you would hope. It's not like the Garrett T51R mod. I don't know what it is with those turbos, but those turbos are loud. So that was about $1,000. The turbo manifold and a few other, the turbo manifold, the downpipe, and the intercooler all together I got used from that wrecked S2000 CR for about $1,000 on a Facebook marketplace. Keep in mind, mostly everything is used or secondhand on this car. So that was about $1,000. The blow-off valve and wastegate I got from a friend. So between the wastegate and blow-off valve, that was about $100. Gauges, I have 3 gauges. I have a boost gauge, air-fuel ratio gauge, and a oil temperature and pressure gauge. And those all ran about $180 each, $540 for all 3 gauges and sensors. Those are, in my opinion, a necessity when you're doing something like this. The injectors, again, they were secondhand. They weren't used, but they were secondhand. I got those for, I think, $400 on Facebook Marketplace in a deal with my standalone AEM ECU, the AEM EMS version 2. That was essentially $1,000 because I got them both together for about $1,400. Crazy that those ECUs still fetch that kind of price even today, just because they're how old they are. But you know, this one's still clearly working pretty good. No problems with it yet. Clutch, I forgot to talk about earlier. I ended up going with an ACT pressure plate, heavy duty pressure plate, and an OEM disc with OEM bearings as well. That all ran me about 680 bucks off of eBay. Though that was obviously brand new. I didn't change the flywheel. The AP2 has a little bit of a heavier flywheel, which is good. It's not good maybe for performance sake, but for a daily driver or driving it regular, it's what you would prefer. I didn't bother even machining the flywheel, honestly, and it's been doing just fine. So that was another 680 bucks. And then to top it all off, to make everything that we did work, the tune, that was definitely on the more expensive side. But when you manage to lose one of the most stout parts of the car, you end up paying big time to make sure that doesn't happen again. So the tune came out to about 1,350 bucks from Mace Engineering. Now again, worth every penny in my opinion, just for the peace of mind that I know it will not, I will not lose another motor. Yeah, there's plenty more that I'm forgetting, but to round it all up, I'm scared to know what the total ends up being. Oh my goodness. Guys, so keep in mind these are all rough estimates, rough on a little bit of the higher side of things, because I've had to buy a few things twice, and to try to keep things simple. So just keep in mind this might be a little bit higher than if you were to do it right the first time, but still it is still insanely expensive. So I actually, for everything that's on the car, to turbo the thing, I actually spent more than I paid for the entire car itself. So the total ended up being $13,330. That's kind of insane, but my opinion, no regrets. I don't regret doing it one bit. The car is an absolute blast to drive. If you have the privilege of meeting somebody who has one of these things turboed, go for a ride, and you'll see exactly what I mean. It is a one-of-a-kind experience that very few cars can offer. But anyways, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.